Dude, just talking to me like you would be any other day. So, before we started, we were talking about music. As far as music, what's the first thing you can remember getting you into music? Because I remember the first glimpse, like I was telling you, the first thing I remember literally in my life is my dad singing Dr. Hook to me and my brother. Very, very early memory. And then I remember like seeing pictures of Kiss and being infatuated with it because it was just so cool looking to me. And I mean, I'm talking about the 90s. Never mind like the Kiss you knew. It was Kiss. Like it's the craziest band you ever seen in your life in the 70s and 80s, and they were huge. And by the time I seen them, it was like, why are your 3-year-olds like Kiss? That's so weird. But it's like, to me and my brother, and even to my dad, it was like one of these like bonding things where my dad saw that I had an interest in it, and he was like, what? Oh, that's Kiss. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that was what, and then I saw them on TV. I think they played like a Grammy show or something like that, and then they were on the Super Bowl in the 90s. It was like 96 or 97. They were on the Super Bowl.
I remember.
They did play the Super Bowl.
Kiss had a movie.
Kiss Meets the Phantom.
Kiss Meets the Phantom. But in the late 70s.
The worst movie anybody's ever
Kiss
seen.
Was huge, you know. And they
also the best.
And they were starting to, get involved with a little bit of disco and stuff like that. I remember that.
I was made for
Yeah, that was like a radio hit. I do remember that. I don't know what year that was, but
Lick It Up.
That. But most of my memories.
The most disturbing song ever, really.
Shock rock.
No, I mean it's Alice Cooper had some shock rock. Rob Zombie, shock rock. Marilyn Manson, shock rock. Kiss was just like lick it up. That's not what? Huh?
Again. It's still shock rock, regardless.
I don't even know what that means, but it's uncomfortable.
Well, music in general. When I was little, listening to what my mother was listening to. I have an older brother, 5 years older than me. He was way ahead of music, and if you have an older sibling, that's where you first really get some of your music.
I hear a lot of people say that.
Right, and.
My cousin TJ.
I don't like a lot of stuff that my brother listens to at all. I don't care for a lot of my brother's music. He's actually a really accomplished and a wonderful songwriter.
He's a really
musician.
Yeah. I've playing guitar around him is like almost intimidating because he's so good. Like
he's very blessed as a musician.
And he's natural. That's the thing is that it's not just like when I watch someone like Marty Friedman play guitar, I'm like, oh, that guy spent hours in a room. Just honing a craft. Years. But your brother picks up a guitar and it's like embarrassingly easy for him to play random things. I played Led Zeppelin in front of him one time and he was like, no, you play it like this. And I was like, I was just confused at how quick
he's got perfect pitch. He has a great ear. He understands theory.
I would say blessed is the perfect word for it. He's naturally talented with instruments.
But he wasn't into music like my friends' older brothers. My friends' older brothers were all into Zeppelin and Sabbath, and my brother was more into Rush and Styx and more progressive music. But my brother is the reason why I started playing guitar.
Why?
One Christmas in Dorchester, my brother got a guitar, a Hondo. It was a. I was really little, but I remember seeing that. And
do they still make those?
I honestly don't know. Before that, though, he did have an acoustic that I remember, and then my parents bought my brother a really nice Takamine, I think it was.
Damn, those are expensive.
This is freaking early 80s. But anyway, when that Honda Electric came, my brother didn't spend much time on it. He was a bass player from the very get-go.
I remember what do you have, a Steiner? A red one?
Yeah,
with like a
that
boat
was
paddle.
I don't think it was a real Steinberger. It was a.
Steinberger. Is that
Maybe
what it's
it
called?
was. I remember he had a Hondo or something like that. But he liked those boat paddles. It was very common, and Geddy Lee had one. Again, progressive music.
That dude knows like an insane amount about Rush.
Yeah, well, it's his favorite band, and I think his own style reflects that
Definitely.
in music for sure.
What was his band called? You did a song with them. You did a solo for them.
Nights Past.
Nights Past. Yeah, that was such a cool album
But he
cover.
was in a few other bands, and I'm trying to think of the names. I remember he was in actually one of the bigger bands he was in was called The Choice, and he was in a few other bands with a whole bunch of the guys. He's always been in something.
That's a cool name for a band. It's like any band that has like a name that sounds like it could be also a cult.
Picking a band name is horrible.
Yeah.
I've never had a good experience.
Violent Rage.
And it's you get 4 or 5 guys in the same room, and freaking everybody's got a different idea, and the arguing starts at the name of the band. It's some of those things, and then you're gonna start trying to write music with these people, and it gets difficult.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens, and most of the times it doesn't. It's been my experience with it. I mean, the people that I was fortunate enough to be in bands with, they taught me a lot. I get a really strange guitar style, as a lot of people know, and because I have small hands and small fingers, I came up with different ways to play guitar in my own way, so I can still.
I think about that every time I try to play Cowboys from Hell, and I say try because I still can't play the song, but I play that song, and I remember you showing me when I was a kid. I was maybe 11 years old, and you showed me, like, Dime played it with the first and second and third string.
Right. It's just
the skip string or whatever you call it.
The same notes, just further up the neck.
And you had that way of playing it.
I had to figure.
And
out
some people say it's cheating or whatever. I don't care about all that.
It's cheating. It's just I physically.
It's actually got a different sound to it.
I'm 5'4". I ain't dunking a basketball.
Well, no. Hear me out. This is what I was thinking about. I think about that all the time because at a very young age I was playing that. I just used a different fretting pattern. I don't even know I'm so not technical with a guitar, but I used the method that you showed me, and it aggravates me when people are like, oh, well, that's not how you play. It's like, yes, it is how you play. It's the same notes.
If I was going to learn guitar all over again today, I would learn it entirely differently. And I think that, one, because I'm a self-taught kind of player, my brother taught me a few chords, and that was pretty much it on that electric guitar, and that's what really, won it for me. But, there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't, there was nothing. There was sheet music, real sheet music, and I couldn't play that. And there was definitely no sheet music by the time I was besides the Hal Leonard books, but I never had the money for those kind of things. Good luck trying to get $23 up for friggin' Hal Leonard, Megadeth book or something.
It's still the same way. You're paying like
right, but back then,
$30 for those books.
I couldn't read music.
Yeah.
And
I made the mistake one time of buying a Doors book, and it was all sheet music, and I was like, damn it.
But again, I was just never taught, and I mean, there are good things about doing it that way, but I don't think they outweigh doing them the right way.
Yeah.
And really being taught and understanding music, and because guitar playing has been a struggle for almost 40 years for me. Before I got the knowledge of the instrument, because
what do you think
guitar playing is just filled with ego, and
that it is.
There's so many times where you're freaking thinking you're like cat's ass because you got a good riff laid down. Or
it's getting, I think, better though, cause like
YouTube has helped that.
Yeah, until maybe a year ago, not even like very recently, I've always felt very self-conscious walking into like a guitar center or any guitar shop where like, because as well as I do, like a lot of the guys that work there are just guys that are like, they're going to college for music, and they're working there because they have the credentials to get that job in 2 minutes.
Right.
And they're really good. They're teachers, and sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're really not. But it's like, I always had this like feeling like I was gonna pick up a guitar. Because you know how it is when you walk into a guitar store. You're like a little kid in a candy store. You're like, oh my god, a Gibson. Oh, I want to hold it. Like something.
I was never like that. For me, growing up and really like buying my first guitar, my first electric guitar, I was saved up money somehow, whatever it was. I had this really old piece of crap, and my brother and I walked down Legion Parkway, Brockton.
You ain't got no music shop over there no more.
Yeah, Legion Parkway in Brockton, and I still have that guitar today. That's the only electric guitar I have.
That's where you bought that?
Legion Parkway, right there. Right
Whoa!
The Alamo, yeah.
The guitar bought on Crack Street.
86. I bought that.
That's awesome. That's actually even better now because you bought that there.
And it was all about the Floyd Rose.
Do you remember what the store was called?
Cheapest Creepers. That's a good question because it was Central Music. There was a few other,
So, for people that don't know, that is one of the most gutter streets I've ever been on in my life.
Oh, yeah. That was Legion Parkway.
They call it Legion Crackway.
But there was an old timer in there. And I didn't... He actually gave me a break on the guitar. I walked in very young. My brother was there with me. We walked all the way from Shepherd Street all the way to Legion Parkway.
So you risked your life to buy that guitar?
Well, honestly, it was a real freaking fear of getting robbed on the way back.
I know. That's a rough walk.
It came with the gig bag, and
especially back then, that was a rough walk, man.
Right. And I've had, as you know, I'd probably say in my lifetime over 50 guitars of all different makes and models, and I still have my original too.
Yeah, that's lucky.
I lost some really good guitars in the fire that happened. Lost my absolute favorite guitar, my gig guitar, I would say. When we were playing.
Was that a Gibson?
No, that was an Ibanez. I sold
what was it?
Gibson. It was a Ibanez RG220.
I had a feeling you were gonna say that. It had a Wizard 2 neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like.
But again, that was like when I was playing in the bands. I was, Ibanez really made a huge comeback with Korn, and a lot of bands were playing Ibanez's, and I moved over at Ibanez.
There's something about playing those guitars I love.
Just did it purely for price. It's a great guitar for a really good price at a fair value, and they're workhorses. And the Ibanez, that RG220, with the Wizard 2 neck, fit small hands for me.
Yeah.
But it had a really good look. It had an aggressive look. It sounded good.
The necks on those Ibanez guitars, there's something. If you get that action low enough.
Yeah, it
flies, man. Mine has been, and you say it's a workhorse. Mine, and I'm not sponsored by Ibanez, but I should be.
Are you supposed to say that? No, I don't even. I do own an Ibanez.
No, I'm saying I'm about to say something real nice about them. I'm just saying I'm not being paid by them, and I got a Jackson. I love playing that too. But at the end of the day,
hey, they can send me a guitar.
Yeah, they can send me as many guitars as you want. But that Ibanez dude has Jesse sent that. Jesse's my brother. He'll be on, but he sent that son of a bitch flying down a flight of stairs. Yeah, I took that guitar. Me and Jesse went a fist fight. And somebody said, "Watch out for the guitar." I said, "Fuck the guitar," and I just threw it on the floor. That thing still plays great.
Yeah, they work.
Got a couple dead frets, and that's my fault. But at the end of the day, that thing.
Yours have Seward Duncans in it?
No. I think all my guitars have stock everything, like whatever factory.
Yeah. But the RG220 was a really good guitar. I was sad to lose that in the fire.
Yeah.
I lost a really nice Epiphone.
Dude, I remember that. And I remember you were actually going to give me and Jesse guitars out of there. You were about to bring them home.
Yeah, I had, we all had a lot of equipment at that place before it burned.
Didn't you say you had like 13 guitars in there or something like that?
We had a lot. I don't think there was that many. Donnie Lord had a brand new.
Oh man, that drum set was killer.
Drum set in there.
That drum set was killer.
Beautiful drum set, but he lost that in the fire too. And all the amps and the equipment, the PA, we tried to suck out all the, from the water damage and smoke damage, but it was just too far gone and a lot of stuff. And I actually traded a lot of that stuff that came out of the fire, and it's probably still out there somewhere today. I traded it a lot, and that was, especially at the time I was just met your mother, I was getting out of that kind of thing. I wasn't gonna be,
the band life and hanging with the guys and stuff like that.
Wife and with kids is not conducive of nightclub.
Hanging in the studio and
playing in bars and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a fun time in my life.
I mean, the stuff that you had us join in on, like when you would have us come to band practices and or you would do a cookout or something like that. It was a blast. And it was like watching your own, like, because me and Jesse grew up watching rock stars on TV. Like, we caught the ass end of that. Like, there's no fucking rock stars no more. There's no band like Kiss. There's no band like Led Zeppelin. But we caught, like, the ass end of the cool rock star, like...
I always say this to people. I said, our band never get famous, but we live the life of the... You ever see those, that show Behind the Scenes of, like, music?
Yeah, like VH1's Behind the Music.
Yeah. We lived that kind of life. It was just party central.
Just debauchery.
Being over at the Drummers Lounge. For anybody who was back in the Drummers Lounge back in the day, it was just a real happening place. And it was open 24 hours. Yeah, there was a lot of drugs and alcohol. But learning to play with other musicians and bouncing out of different studios. I forget the amount of studios, and there was 3 full floors. And... on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, that place would just be rocking nonstop, and the bars would empty out and go up to the studios, and everybody would be partying, and ripping it up. Those are literally some of the funnest times I ever had playing music, and really, actually.
I remember how much fun you guys would have. That's what I remember about, like, seeing you guys play live. I didn't mean to cut you off, by the way. Sorry about that, but. I can just remember going to the cookouts with Polly's house or like.
Yeah, we'd play cookouts, but and that was just.
Well, I know you were doing it. You were kind of doing that as a favor, like hanging out with the guys.
I had a blast. No, I was a willing participant in that. I had a great. Anytime you can play out, anytime you can have somebody watch you play, something that you've been working hard on, and I think that. Playing covers is one thing. You get critiqued on covers really quickly by other musicians, especially. Oh, man, you just totally trashed that solo,
But I can remember you having this attitude of like.
Well, you know what I figured out about bands, in music in general, and I apologize to anybody out there, but this is true. Most people aren't listening to music. Not at a cookout, or not at a bar, not in the nightclubs we played.
It's the 3 guitarists in the crowd that are going to be like, whoa, well, you got the note wrong, and nobody cares about them.
Playing in Boston and all these things. Most people got a few beers in them already by the time you already hit. You if you're not an opening act, you might, or something like a battle of the bands we used to do down.
That's where you'll get critiqued hard.
And stuff like that in different areas, but I think it was Rhode Island, the last one we did. But anyway.
But that's a competitive environment.
Well, yeah, but
it's all bands in the crowd.
You don't win money. You get prestige and you get drink tickets. That's I don't know what they do today.
I don't even know if they do that shit anymore.
But it's a really good chance to meet other bands, and that was like the first. Matt Callis, great musician. Really, I was always comfortable playing with Matt when we had a band set up where he would be rhythm. And
dude, he was one of those people that, like, even when I was a little kid. I was around him and I was like, oh, this guy's smart. Like, for some reason, he had, like, smart...
Matt Callis is the only guitar player that I've ever played in a band with that said to me, dude, your style is really, really screwy. And he learned my style.
Yeah.
He really learns fast. He can, he had a really good understanding of technology and beats and signal. He had... probably more music skills than me at the time. I just play it loud and play it fast. I don't give a shit.
No, you got some chops though.
But
even then, you were a fast. You were like you could play anything. And I'm not even tooting your horn and nothing like that. Dude, you could play anything from like Megadeth, Slayer, Metallica. You showed me like 15 Metallica songs in the course of probably 6 months to a year.
But when we started like making our own, and when we set the goal of, hey, we're gonna do a demo, and this is like when CDs and burning CDs and all that was.
You talking about Nunya?
Yeah.
All that stuff.
That was there.
That was, dude. You don't know how.
I was in a Metallica cover band before that. With
I was
Scott, another great guitar player.
I was a 9-year-old promoter. I was shopping that around the school. I was
actually, that's all Matt's doing. Matt had sweatshirts made. Matt was really promoting the band, and he was mostly aggressive on that, and really doing the sleeve of our demo, and that's how I get.
I thought that was the coolest thing I ever had.
And that's how I get to learn how to play in a studio. And then my brother was recording with Mark at the time, who owned the recording studio in Stoughton. I think it was Stoughton. But that's how I ended up getting free studio hours working at other bands and doing music, for them. And I got some free hours for our band doing some lead work. And I was really honored that my brother asked me to be on his album. Yeah. I didn't feel that I had... He's probably going to never let me down for this, but I didn't feel like I had the musical chops for that. And when I listened to that song that I did with him in that band, and I never heard... He came to me on like a Friday and said, hey, do you want to write a solo and play rhythm on a song for me? I'm like, yeah, I've never recorded up to this point. I was kind of freaking, He's like, I'll give you the backing track, which he did. It was on a DVD, a burned one, and he says, we're gonna record on Tuesday. This was like a Friday. I never wrote a single thing in my life.
Dude, I'd be so nervous.
And I listened to that probably, and it wasn't a lot of bars of music. It's a very short solo. I think the song is called Angst.
It's pretty badass, though. I've heard it.
And it actually hurts my ears today. It's all right. It flows well.
You don't like it?
I just never felt like I had the chops with those musicians. Those guys really, like, my brother is a musician. I'm very careful to classify myself as a musician. My brother and Mark and those guys are really, they're engrossed in music. They understand everything about it. And I've never, I did like maybe 4 solos. Just kind of worked it out. Everything was a little bit different. I had no idea what they were looking for, And again, my brother was very different music than me.
Yeah.
Went to record.
That could have worked to your favor, though.
We did he had the backing track. I had, they stuck me in the booth, and the Mark, he was doing the producing and the engineering, I believe. And he's like, hey man, just warm up, run through all what you got, yada yada yada. And he started playing music, yada yada. And I ripped out the first solo. And he's like, that's what we're gonna use right there. He was recording and I didn't know. And I said, I got 3 more. He's like, no. He says, we're gonna touch this up, and we did a couple of runs through that. He was probably flattering me at the time. I don't know.
Do you think so? As good as musicians as all these guys are, you think they were trying to
I'm the brother
stroke your ego?
I'm the brother of, my brother, as to my knowledge, always thought it was good, the song. And they had other guest guitar players on that, so it was kind of cool. And they gave me a credit on the album and everything. And that's like when I was like, wow, man, this is really fun. That's when I started getting in my own bands and, and thinking.
How old were you?
Sheesh, not really. Maybe mid to late 20s.
Okay.
Maybe. A little bit older, maybe. I don't know. Because at the end of that, so I married your mother when I was, 28?
No.
29? How old was I?
No, I think you were like 32.
Oh, was I? Again, that's a whole freaking...
You haven't known how old you were since you were 32, so that's...
I'm not very good with dates and time. Everything kind of just blends in.
I used to go, how old are you? And he'd go... Ask your mother.
I tend to view my life more in seasons than years. But that's how I, really started. I was working at Shaman Engineering, and my boss Kendall, an incredible musician who actually played with like real bands, real.
I had no idea that guy was a musician. That's interesting.
Yeah, he has one of the most beautiful Gibson customs I've ever seen, and he's had it since the 70s. It's just he's the one that really got me into like guitars, and he let me take that guitar home, dude, one night. He actually let me take home his custom freaking Fender Twin Reverb. It was from like 1965 or 68 or something like that. It was freaking incredible. Loud.
So he was spending money on his instruments.
But again, this was back when he was a kid, so it's all relative, Les Pauls were expensive, yes, because it's a well-made instrument, but I think Kendall just, he went to Berkeley. He was...
Really?
Yeah, Kendall went to Berkeley.
What?
Yeah.
So this dude was running a machine shop?
He owned it, yeah. Been in his family for many, many years. He used to originally be on Freeport Street in Boston.
He's like an undercover genius with a guitar?
Yeah, he was a really accomplished musician. Went to Berkeley.
That's impressive,
trained.
Man. I had no idea about that.
Incredible musician, great ear. And
we were just talking about that. Not to sidetrack the conversation or anything, but
if you ever, and I want to say this, and hi Kendall, if you're ever out there, I haven't talked to him in absolute years, but he not only taught me a lot about guitars, but he taught me a lot about everything.
Yeah.
He was a really good boss, one of the best bosses I've ever had in my life. I wish there were more like him. Not to say I have a bad boss now, but Kendall really took the time to nurture me. I was young. I just got out of the service at the time. And that was my first job back when I got out of the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy was working there. Teddy was the general manager. And Kendall brought me...
Wow, you guys were young, and he was already the manager of the machine shop?
Yeah, he was general manager of the shop.
Wow.
And Teddy was learning to be a machinist at the time. He was coming in, but he was the general manager of Shaman, I believe, at the time.
There's a guy that doesn't give himself enough credit.
Yeah.
Teddy's
a great...
He's always so, he's the type of dude that'll sit there and just be like, well, no, I'm not any good at this, or I'm not any good at that. And he's, incredible. He's... To be the manager of a machine shop when you're 19, 20 years old...
I have never worked, now that I'm thinking about Shaman Engineering, I never have worked for a company with Kendall and his wife, two amazing people who really cared about their employees. I remember, this is going way back, 96. It was tough times, and Kendall always kept us on, and Lindsay always kept us going, always made sure, hey, listen, there's one time I cracked a tooth. They didn't offer health care. And I walked in, it was really bad.
Is this the window?
No, that was another stupid thing. But I had a cracked tooth actually from my brother's, what happens when just before you get married, engagement party. My brother's engagement party to Tracy, I bit into a yogurt covered almond. And it split my tooth, and I had this freaking Irish doc, Mick dentist, shit face, pull my tooth out.
That's politically correct.
But before
a Mick dentist.
Yeah.
You're Italian as hell.
I'm Irish.
Oh, you're Irish too. That's right.
Yeah, DNA now.
A Mick dentist.
A Mick dentist. No, he just got back from lunch and he had plenty of the devil's nectar in that time.
Oh, nice. So he smelled like friggin' Guinness?
It was bad. And I'm petrified of dentists anyway, but I still go to the dentist and get my teeth cleaned. But thank God no cavities. Here you go, Ma. But anyway, I remember Kendall and Lindsay, before I got it pulled out. Wow, I haven't thought about this in a long time. They were going to charge me to do a bridge and stuff. It was going to be $3,600. And I went to work, and Kendall was coming downstairs and he heard me over talking about, I'm just gonna have to get pulled. It's gonna cost me whatever. Screw it, I can't do that. $3,600 for, and I got called up into the office, and they're in. Kendall and Lindsay's in the office. Hey, we're gonna cut you a check for that. We're gonna take care of all that. And no one has ever done something like that for me. That kid, freaking guy from.
It's not like it happened at work.
Shithole Brockton and freaking, and back then there wasn't this whole you're 26 years old staying on your parents' insurance or anything like that. We didn't, I didn't grow up with dental insurance all the time and stuff like that. It wasn't common, at least to me where I grew up.
Oh no, these people need to know. Anybody 4 people that see this need to know.
It's not.
No. Let me finish. He's not gonna say anything about it, but this dude he grew up getting stitched up on his kitchen table by his dad.
Well, my dad was a
hardcore dude.
Yeah, I was a mischievous kid, and always breaking or cutting something. So, but anyway, we had health insurance, but I'm saying dental insurance wasn't. Yeah, my dad would take care of what he could at home.
Yeah.
With me, for sure. Getting stitches at the table I remember my friends would be petrified to come to the house. I would say, "Come to my house. My dad can help me." Screw you.
Yeah, your dad's the kind of guy to hand somebody a belt and go, "Bite this."
But getting back to the Ken and Lindsay thing, they offered to pay for me, and I couldn't go through with it. I just went out and had it taken care of. I couldn't do it. I don't remember the years. I'm not very good with that kind of stuff. Like 96, I was doing this. The only kind of year I remember, is 9/11. That was, I was at Shaman at the time, and that was a thing for the whole country.
So you were there for quite a few years.
Yeah, I was there. I think 11 years at Shaman.
Wow.
I became general manager of that. Man, kind of would fly me down on business trips, and that was a great company to work for. And
you had a lot of interesting experiences young.
Yeah, that was going
especially
down
at work, because I'm
Greenville, Mississippi.
That's what I'm saying. That stuff like that, because I'm 28, and I mean maybe the most interesting experience I've had at work is working for the guy that owns Cumberland Farms. That's about it, and that's I don't even know. I can't remember. Nor am I gonna say, even if I did remember where the guy lives, but. His house was awesome to work on, But it's like that. It wasn't like nobody was flying me to this place or that place or anything like that. It was just like the experiences I've had have been working on these big buildings and these massive projects, and a couple times in Rhode Island, me and my friend Tyler, we worked in Barrington. No, it wasn't Barrington. It was Newport. In Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, there's some money.
And oh my God, there's money out there. You see Lamborghinis every day. You're just like, how do people have this? But the mansions and stuff, we worked on, I think they call it the Historical Society.
Well, there's a lot of houses down there.
There's something, we were literally, the guy running the job, I won't say his name, but he was telling us to take out tiles. And people showed up, and they were like, what are you doing? Taking these, you can't take these tiles out. These are he was gonna get charged thousands and thousands of dollars per tile that was taken out because they were these are 300 years old or something like that. It was you can't touch anything here.
Yeah, you gotta ask permission. What color paint?
It was nuts, man. It was nuts. And this guy was one of them dudes. He had so much money that he was just no, we're gonna. I guess his plan was, this is just what I heard. I don't, you know how jobs are like that. Just 40, 50 guys working on a job, and all of them tell you stories. And I'm 18 or something like that, so I'm listening to 35-year-olds that are telling me bullshit all the time.
Right.
But what I heard is that the guy was gonna get married, and this I heard from his mouth. So this I know is true, but the things that I don't know for sure is the money that was going around. That's a $10,000 door. That's a $20,000. I don't know if any of that's true, but there was massive amounts of money spent in that place. Like he had like a Medusa statue made out of like marble, and I was just like, yeah, it's some tacky shit, man. But at the end of the day, it was like, oh, you got so much money, you can buy ridiculous shit, and you don't even like it. It doesn't have to be pretty. It can be so ugly, but it's expensive, and it's. But anyway, to get back to the point, the dude said that we painted everything white. It was for a wedding.
Right.
And I'm talking this place. Now this is the stuff I don't know is true, but it was like, I think 16 million is the number I heard, right? On the entire place, it was massive. To me, it reminded me of Scarface's house. It was massive. And he said, I think he spent like another 4 million renovating it, redoing it. Just painting everything white, putting up certain walls, taking down certain walls. And it was for a wedding.
Right.
With a chick that was probably half his age. And I heard him go, he said these words right in front of me. He goes, so one of the guys on the crew was asking like, oh, so, you know, what are you planning for the wedding? They're just going back and forth about it. And he goes, if it rains, if she don't show up, no. He didn't say that. He said, if it rains, I ain't even gonna show up. And I was just like, what? Holy shit!
Some people have money to throw.
Yeah. Oh man, he had so much money. It was intimidating. But anyway, that's my experience. That's my exciting experience with work, as opposed to you being flown to North Carolina and.
Yeah, no, we went everywhere because we were, and Kendall was really good about.
I went way off track there. I'm sorry.
No, I just want to go back to the Kendall thing. He offered me one time, what do you think about buying this place?
Do you regret not doing it?
In a way, I think I could have continued to learn. I think he would have been a great man to not let me fail. He loved the company, and I did too, and but it didn't work out, and I was already getting to the age where I was just like, things, the recession was hitting. This is what, mid-90s, I'm guessing. Somewhere in there. Again, I'm horrible with dates.
Well, you said you were working there during 9/11.
Yeah, I was there for 9/11.
So this was pre 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe mid to late 90s.
He offered me it. I remember that. And I was just, again, naive and young. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm not going to be here forever, type of thing. And that was an opportunity I missed, and not, and I'm sure that he
Are they still in business?
Yeah, not in Brockton anymore. Not from Boston.
Probably a
Brockton,
smart move.
Gone, and
that building is.
I heard he's got something in Foxborough or Renton now or something.
Last time I walked by that building and noticed it.
Yeah, it's filled with bullets.
It was on fire.
Rough place, but that place was as well. That sucked walking to work.
It was right on the corner of Warren Ave, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warren Ave. No.
Perkins. It's in that area.
Yeah. At the bottom of Westchester.
If you take a right before, like at my old house, if you take a right before you get to Walgreens,
yeah,
it's right there.
Right.
Yeah. Last time I walked by that building and noticed it for anything, it was on fire.
You're about 4 houses and a bank from the Italian Kitchen. The Italian Kitchen's right there. Melody, Main Dragon. All that stuff's gone now, I think. I don't know.
The Melody is. I don't know about the Main Dragon. The Main Dragon is right next to Defto's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still there.
No, it can't be.
Oh yeah, it's still there. I would never eat there, but it's still there.
Defto's is still there?
Defto's is never gonna leave. They do business like crazy.
1666 still there?
Hell yeah.
Really?
Yep. Giannaro's is still there.
Wow.
There's a lot of old businesses still up and running in Brockton. Definitely.
Gone. paint's gone. Everything. I mean, everything changes, and I think that.
Yeah, except Deftos.
I think that shithole deserves some change. It is what it is. But again, getting back to that opportunity, it really goes to show that you just never know when something's gonna drop in your lap. And that's happened to me a few times in life. And sometimes you get them, and sometimes you don't. You fumble them when you do, and you just gotta kind of friggin'.
Buds is still there.
Yeah, I worked at Bud's when I was a kid.
That's why I said that. Buds is still there.
Yeah. I used to be the cigarette.
Great place to buy beer when all the other stores aren't open.
That was years ago. But I mean, now when you're older and you got more understanding about life and this and that, you're more of aware if an opportunity can come your way. But it seems that they get fewer and fewer, so I mean, that's just the way it is. I think that I think there's a financial opportunity coming with the markets the way they are. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
And I think that as
you have really made me understand the value of people like Patrick Bet David. I think that's his name. That guy on Valuetainment.
That guy's a shit.
Man, I get sucked into stuff like that now. I'm starting to get
he's
to.
a smart man. I think he's an honest man, and you don't see honesty as much anymore. I mean, you got tons, and you know me. I'm always watching this or that on the stock market, and most of them are full of garbage. Absolutely. And it's the whole, get rich quick thing. And those are just not work. But when you come across a guy like, what's his name, Patrick?
I think his name's Patrick Bet David.
Yeah. There's a lot there to learn from. Now, I mean, I think there are other people that you can certainly learn from. And I think there's a lot of money to be made in the market. It's just that you have to understand it and learn it and continue to learn. Never think that you know it all. And don't let ego get you.
The hardest thing about that is that it's ever changing. It's every single day. It's going through something different and forming different.
No, you keep it under control and what you can handle, and you take on more risk as you feel comfortable with. The idea is to eliminate.
Well, it's you know as well as I do. When you grow up,
amount of return.
When you grow up poor,
yeah,
it's very difficult to trust anything that involves money. Cause you work hard for your money, and you're like afraid that if I trust something that I don't fully understand, I can lose everything.
My parents never taught me about money. Just the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that it just maybe it was just a very traditional household that I grew up in, or whatever. I don't know, but parents didn't talk about money. I still today don't know my parents' finances. So all out in this world here that we're talking to, teach your kids about money the right way. Because I wasn't taught, and
I heard
unfortunately had to make a lot of bad mistakes. And granted, when you're young, you can afford to have a mistake or two. But once you get into your 50s plus, and you go through, such as a divorce or something catastrophic in your life, the loss of a home, where all of a sudden you get a restart from everything. You don't have any more mistakes in you. You got to make sure that the risk is eliminated as much as possible, and don't get involved in foolish finances. And study. It's imperative that if you're gonna put your hard-earned money into something, man, you figure out what it is. You just don't freaking, everybody's buying weed stocks and crypto. Look what happened to crypto last week. And until shit's legalized and, again, I'm sure someone said this on YouTube, it could have even been that guy Patrick, but the government's not going to give up its legal tender. Ain't happening. So
right.
I'm not saying that there's not a spot, maybe, of and if you want to trade and you can make money off it, I heard another gentleman say that, and that's great, but I don't play games with it, Go buy a scratch ticket if you want to throw your money out.
I read today a quote by Bruce Lee.
Feel like water?
No. It was
Cross.
I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of, don't buy your kids or your children material possession. Teach them lessons instead. Lessons will stay with them forever. And that reminded me of like my upbringing. We were poor. I mean, I grew up very similar to the way you grew up, in a way where like my mother and father were very different than your mother and father, and you were very similar to the way my parents were when you married my mother and stuff. Like you married my mother when, I think we already went over this, but when I was 9, you met her, or at least that's when me and Jesse met you.
Right.
And you were married by the time we were 12-ish.
Okay.
But you guys never, and it wasn't in like a, you know, it's not that you didn't want to,
Excuse me.
but you guys didn't spend a ton of time buying, or a ton of money buying us this, that, the other thing.
It was just planned in and have it. I mean,
right, but it was more about like
So
my father would sit there for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and talk to us.
Right.
And it was more, he would.
I'm a lot more conserved than your father.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a lot more conservative in what I'm going to share. And a lot of people think I'm very standoffish, as you know. And I can come off brash. And I know these things, people.
Well, they don't know you yet.
Right. Well, for our family and friends that are watching.
Yeah.
It's not, and I think I got like that one as I got older, type of thing. I guess I don't necessarily, I want to continue on working on myself and getting better at communication with other people and this and that. I like to do that. But I'm not gonna, I think if we just lead by kindness, the rest will kind of follow. And I'm not intentionally being mean to people. You ever hear that? Oh, you got a resting bitch face. I'm not saying that I don't, or but usually I'm just kind of locked up in my mind is a freaking pinball machine most of the time, and I'm.
I can relate to that.
Just thinking on other things at different 100 things at a time or something, and I'm just kind of. That's mainly my. It's not that I'm distant. It's just that I'm just in my own head.
I think that's what got me so sucked into alcohol and stuff like that when I was young. And I'm still like, I work with that myself. I wouldn't consider myself like a hardcore, alcoholic or anything like that. But I for a long stretch of time, I would drink. Like I'm not talking. I'm having 2 beers right now doing a podcast, but there's a long period of time that if I had 2 beers, I was gonna have 12. You know what I mean? And it's like, it wasn't an everyday thing, but it was like when I drink, I want to drink, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way I think. And it was like me trying to slow my own wheels down, and me trying to just like put the brakes on that pinball machine that you're talking about. That like. Ding, 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 all the time. You're thinking in 1,000 different directions, and I feel a lot of the time like people don't understand what it's like to have a brain that just won't shut up.
Right. I drink a couple times a year, as you know. I don't drink like, as we discussed earlier anymore. But I think that there is something to say about a really good glass of wine with a friend.
Sure.
Or one of my best times to have a glass of wine is while I'm making dinner.
Oh, with a woman when you're having dinner at like a nice restaurant or something like that. There's something to be said about
absolutely.
that. It adds a little bit of like.
But there's also something to say and having a nice cold beer with a woman too.
Yeah.
I maybe it's not as, or maybe it is more romantic. I don't know. I guess
I'm a fan of the old like Italian. You get some some nice, like a nice fancy dinner and a red wine, man. There's something about that.
Absolutely.
There's something I love about that. But
I also think there's a great time to freaking rip back the Budweiser and this and have a couple of shots of Jack. You know, it really comes down to alcohol transforms.
That's the military.
Alcohol transforms you back to especially your youth. Of,
yeah.
You know, we used to do these and do that and yada yada yada. But I mean, I do enjoy a well-made cigar, as you know, and a nice glass of scotch. That is hard to beat. And the men in my family, you know, quintessential John Wayne, you know, Frank Sinatra types, who I'm a huge fan of, Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, and all those guys, and I get those albums in my car right now. And
don't I know it?
Again, I think I remember, you know, we're going all the way back to our beginning of this discussion about early music.
Yeah.
Always, you know, heard the oldies. My dad always had the oldies on. I didn't quite understood what the oldies, because even my dad was born in 46, I think.
Why are you looking at me and asking? I don't know.
Again, I'm horrible with dates.
He's my grandmother's age, and she was born in 42.
Your grandmother was October 10th, 1943.
Horrible with dates until your wife wants you to remember one.
Well, you just have to pick up your grandmother's prescription.
Ah.
So, my mother... She's going to kill me.
Yeah, you should have left this out.
Yeah. Edit. Look, I know that my parents were married on the 6th of August, and my father's birthday is on the 7th of August.
Mm-hmm.
My mother's birthday is on the 3rd. Justin's either before or after my mother's. I just wing it and say.
I get it easy as shit.
Yeah.
And my dad's dead, so he ain't gonna get mad at me no matter what. But at the end of the day,
the same birthday.
We got the same birthday, November 9th, 1967.
And November 10th is the Marine Corps' birthday.
Yes, and that's how I remember that, because you used to go, I remember your birthday, because the Marine Corps' birthday's right the next day after. It's easy.
But I think that, you know...
What year, though? Isn't it 1770...
5 or 6.
Yeah, I want to say 6.
It's been a long time. I think it's 75. I'm pretty sure it's November 10th, 1775.
You know how many people I've shocked because, like, you put the knowledge of, like, Chesty Puller into my head. You put the knowledge of Dan Daly in my head. You put the knowledge of... Well,
you got to go through when you're, going through boot camp with the Marines and all that. You got to learn the history. But
no, but, like, people I talk to, they're like, how the fuck do you know who that is? They're shocked that I know who these people are.
Hold on, I'm going to look that up on the phone because now there's...
Carlos Hathcock.
Just in case another Marine sees this, I'll never...
I'm going to pee while you're doing that.
Getting back to that music early, Chubby Checker and, Fats Domino and all those guys, my dad always had those on, and again, the country western stuff, which is weird in Dorchester, but on the radio at the time, it was like, this is like late 70s, it would be like, Air Supply, Hall & Oates, and, whatever the top 40 stuff was done back then, Diana Ross, Christopher Cross, as we were talking earlier. I remember those kind of songs. I remember, Carter was president and walking to St. Ambrose and those like the early, walking down the piazza and
You gotta explain this because I don't know what you're talking about.
That's
what is St. Ambrose?
St. Ambrose is where I went to school in excuse me, Dorchester.
Okay.
So, that was like the early music. And then really, my brother was listening to other music. And I started picking up on this. And then really musically, I started getting into the heavier music right away. As soon as it started really like Justin Everett, all my friends, and everybody started, again, we were all listening to like Sabbath and Zeppelin and, all that old 70s stuff, and a lot of Beatles still, you know.
Which transitioned into what, when?
Kiss, Peter Frampton, and then, like, because we didn't, now you're getting into, like, the 80s, and, like, I don't know what the name of that kind of music is, but a lot of keyboards and a lot of stuff that I didn't like, you know, Duran Duran, and yeah, just I didn't like it, and that's like when the underground Metallica, you know, like Kill 'Em All came out. We got a freaking
like 84.
That came out in 83, I think. I mean, I'm not great with dates, but maybe 84, 85, maybe something like that on there. But that came out. And
it always shocks me how early it actually was that stuff was coming out.
But we really,
because even before that, they had King Diamond, they had Merciful Fate.
What was really cool at that time, and getting even like once like thrash started taking off, and skateboard culture came in from California, Suicidal, and then freaking Anthrax out of New York. There's a big. It wasn't mainstream. You're not gonna hear it on radio, nothing like that. But bands started showing up at like Derringer's and stuff like that. And
dude, there's old footage at Derringer's and shit.
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, you can like look that up on YouTube.
And then the whole band scene started. And, you know, my brother was playing in bands at the old furniture building that they converted into friggin' studios. At that time, there was the Drummers Lounge, you know, later on. The Grove Street
Grove Street's a shithole.
Sorry, not Grove Street.
Green Street?
See the Grove Street, Pine Street. I can't. This bridge is on board. I can't remember. But, you know, that started happening, and really getting into more and more darker music, hotter music, faster music, playing guitar like that, Slayer, really learning how to, you know, taking 12 hours a day on a guitar and just ripping up and trying to be like these guys because it was all new.
When you first got with my mom, you were really into Megadeth. Like, really into Megadeth.
We were doing some Megadeth covers. I would say faking our way through some Megadeth covers. I mean,
Megadeth's new song, we listened to that yesterday. That's fucking badass.
I mean, Marty Freeman, Chris Poland, listen, any musician in Megadeth, Dave.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, we faked our way through a lot of stuff. It's a lot. I can tell you right now from playing a lot of those songs over the years.
You're being humble. You can play a lot of that shit.
No,
man.
I know that.
You can play it well.
That. What I'm saying is, I can honestly say that being in a Metallica cover band that I was in, Metallica was a lot easier for me to play, and I have other musicians around me to cover than any Megadeth stuff.
I think Megadeth was designed that way, though.
Yeah, but you have a Titan, you have Marty Freeman, and that is going to stop you cold. You know, hey, let's do, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to as hard as I can to learn Hangar 18 right now, and I'm learning.
Symphony of Destruction, really easy song, rhythm wise. Dun, 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 dun. You know, yeah. even the chorus is really easy. But then you get to the Marty Freeman solo, and it's like, yeah, we're not playing this. Good luck. You know, it's a really difficult solo, and it's not something that you hear out in clubs. And it's actually probably I would say it's a pretty club friendly song. That particular one. There's not many Megadeth.
It's nice and bouncy, and it's got
right.
that swing vibe to it.
It's been on the radio a few times. People will recognize it because of the hook, Pied Piper.
Never mind the video games and whatnot that it's been in since you played it. But
I always said this about that song.
I think it was in Last Action Hero. Great movie, by the way.
The song we were just talking about. What song were we just talking about?
Symphony?
Symphony of Destruction is Megadeth's Enter Sandman.
No.
I think so.
No.
I think so. Yeah.
Shit! You might be right about that. 'Cause that's on Countdown to Extinction.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think.
It's a great song. I'm not taking it back. I'm just saying.
No. But Countdown to Extinction is like admittedly when they got radio friendly. Like they started doing I think 120 beats per minute was the time signature that they were working with.
That I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm a fan of both bands.
I think Dave Mustaine himself said that. Like that was when they got more radio friendly. For good, bad, or ugly, whatever, I don't know. I love that album for what it's worth.
I mean, I didn't personally buy anything past Injustice for All. There are some good songs on the Black Album, but
dude, I'll tell you what.
After that, and I do like the Megadeth.
My dad I fucking hated, and I mean hated, like I think it's a lot to do with growing up around you and.
But I was a music snob too, because when you're playing thrash and you're egocentrical on the guitar and you freaking thinking this and that. Again, way too much ego in the guitar world. Take it from me.
But my dad forced me to listen to the Black Album, Load Reload, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but at the end of the day, I love those albums because they're a part of my childhood. Like for a small example, my dad loved the song "Hero of the Day." Can't you hear your babies crying now? That the reason for those lyrics themselves, because he was like, it just reminds me of you and your brother. Can you hear your babies crying now? And he's like, you guys were like, when you guys were little babies, you guys fucking cried all the time. You were colicky kids, and you know your mother always had trouble with you guys. You guys were always you were screaming ass kids, man. And it's like the pains and stuff like that you had and stuff. They had a lot of problems with us when we were little infants. And it was like, it just put him back in time. And he was like, when I heard that song, it's like, Hero of the Day. I don't know what that song's about still to this day. But he's like, to me, it was like a theme song for what I was going through at the time. And my dad had a different outlook on music than we do. You know, because me and you look at things like, if I, you know, I don't go out of my way to listen to pop music. I don't go out of my way to listen to and a lot of the time I have that biased opinion where I'm like, this is fucking mainstream. I don't want it.
There's only a few reasons why a young male picks up a guitar. He's idolizing it on TV. If you're getting good at it, you're gonna get laid with it. That's the truth. You know, it doesn't freaking. I hate to say it. It's
rock star mentality.
You might have to freaking edit that. I don't know if that's allowed, but.
Oh no, you can say whatever you want at this point.
But then all of a sudden, for me, it came from that to actually falling in love with the instrument.
Yeah.
And I haven't played in the band a long time, but I play every day for an hour or two every day, and that is my muse. It's what.
I am 28 years old, still never got laid because I play guitar. But.
Sorry, man.
But I will say no. I don't play live. I don't. It's not. I'm a bedroom player. Like I play in my room by myself.
And I hate to put it like that, but that's what.
But,
you know,
well, what I'm getting at is
guys, you know,
what I'm getting at is, I had this idea that it was really.
My mother's gonna edit this.
Yeah.
That ain't too cool. Yeah.
How do you think you got here?
My dad didn't play guitar.
He played the he was way cooler. He played the accordion.
Yes, my dad did play the accordion. I remember.
That's way cooler than the guitar.
Matter of fact, during like holidays upstairs in the house in Dorchester, my grandfather had a old record player. I think it was as long as this wall. And they would always play the records during the holidays and polkas and all these weird songs. And I remember that. That's even earlier than like the stuff you would hear on the radio.
But you grew up with music.
Late 70s and
one way or another.
Well, but yeah.
And you got away from that and went into your own style of music. You went into like the Megadeths and the Slayers and.
But the whole thing for me changed. Oh, geez. The whole thing.
You got me very into Testament. Specifically Alex Skolnick. That dude is amazing with a guitar.
I'm a fan of Skolnick. I'm a huge fan of Kirk Hammett. I think Metallica could have always been a better band if they stowed their egos away. Same thing with Megadeth.
I think every band could be a better band if they stowed their egos away, though.
But that's a part of his persona with Dave.
That's a part of being a successful musician, is ego.
Kindness is, but again...
A lot of these guys are coming from like shit backgrounds.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter. They're millionaires now.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Their egos they're in check now.
No, freaking Dave Mustaine was just freaking saying some bullshit about Judas Priest the other day.
Who cares?
I think he's a fabulous guitar player and a great musician, but.
Well, I didn't hear what he said about Judas Priest, but I've never been that into Judas Priest, so it doesn't really matter.
That's a part of his persona. That snarling guy.
Yeah, but I gotta say,
You know.
I enjoy that.
Love the new music.
I enjoy that he's like that.
These are 2 songs I've heard.
From the perspective of a guy that can be snarly myself.
I'm excited about this because if it is a concept album, running off Rust in Peace, like we were watching the other night, in the how did Vic come about, which seems to be more like kind of a Punisher kind of parallel there.
Megadeth seems like anytime they put ... in a song, I'm in.
I think that there's plenty of, David's always been a political right at the alley now with what's going on in this world. I think that.
But I feel like the last, with my own humble opinion, because I don't know shit, this guy's every musician that's ever been in that band can blow my doors off as far as musicianship, but the last few albums that they've had have been different compared to, like, I feel like what they just put out is along the lines of Rust in Peace or A Peace Sells or something. Like it's in that same direction.
I'm going to reserve my judgment until I hear all.
You got to hear the whole thing.
And I am a huge
Kiko's
fan.
a goddamn monster, though.
He is. I wish that they would put his solos in the last 2 songs I heard. I wish they would put his solos during those bars a little forward. Bring it up. Highlight it a little bit more. It's kind of blending in. It's bleeding into the background of the rest of the music. Pull it out a little bit. He's too important of a musician not to be highlighted. I understand what they're trying to do overall of just, hitting you sonically with this. But Marty Freeman's Marty Freeman because his solos cut through all that. Kurt Hammett's Kurt Hammett because you can sing along with his solos. It's just like a lyric.
But are they even doing that anymore in music? Like, is that even a thing anymore?
I don't think there's anybody better in the business than Kurt Hammett when it comes to writing a solo for a specific song. Now, the past couple of years, not as much. But if you listen to his lead
Fade
work,
to Black.
Just phenomenal phrasing, phenomenal skills throughout. It accompanies the song.
I know I'm going with real fucking mainstream versions of thrash albums, but...
And no one, I think, in that genre of music does it any better.
You can't deny the fact that...
It's like David Gilmour's Comfortably Numb song. The solo is so intricate to the song. It is a verse. It is a chorus. It's that intricate. And it's that important.
The first time I ever got emotional over a guitar part was the solo in Mother.
Yeah, it comes in mid with the drums.
Yo, like that. There was something about
I like
that.
Solo, matter of fact,
It's the build up to it lyrically, and then that solo hits, and you're just like, how the fuck did they do this? How did he get, like, he hit the perfect notes for what you were feeling listening to those lyrics.
I think David Gilmour
he's incredible.
My favorite guitar player of all time. The guy wears his heart in his fingers when it comes to music, and you don't hear that today. I love Steve Vai and Joe, but they're just. I think. Excuse me. I don't want to overstep Steve Vai. He has a lot of heart and soul. I just can't seem to connect with it. But someone like Joe Satriani, it's very. Joe Satriani and Yngwie and all these guitar players, you don't buy their albums because it's just blah. They're not saying anything. They're technique albums. I don't get the feeling from it. Steve Vai, a lot of his albums, he's putting heart into it, but I don't think Yngwie's pouring heart into it.
Right.
I think he's putting just sheer skill into it.
Right.
And ambition. And Joe is a great teacher.
I could never play a
Joe Satriani's
fret guitar. That just seems like a math.
In my opinion, I don't know these men, but Joe seems like a really good teacher, but I don't like any of his music. It's like, it's like Larry, no, I wouldn't say Larry Bird. I would be wrong. It's like Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky, I would assume it would be really hard for him to be a coach because you can't teach what he has.
Just natural raw ability.
You know, there's a reason why, you know, it's just like, okay, I want you to do this. Well, you just do it like this. I can't do that. Well, what do you mean? You know what I mean? And I think...
Oh, you weren't raised on an ice rink.
Right. You don't have that... Wayne Gretzky, I don't know because I'm not... But
Wayne Gretzky, one thing I can tell you about him is that when he was very, very young, he showed an interest in hockey, and his father built him an ice rink in his backyard.
I'm pretty sure he still holds a lot of records. But again, guitar playing...
Well, I did a book report on him, and that's how I know that. When I was a kid, his father actually built him an ice rink when he was a little kid. Which goes along with that Bruce Lee quote: "Teach your damn kids lessons, don't buy them things." You know what I mean? Like, give them something that will stay with them for life.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking last night. You know, I think, and I was probably too young and naive to tell you when you were young, and you know, my dad, nothing was explained. It's like you got the punishment, but it really wasn't explained on why you got punished. You just expected to know.
Right.
And I think that it serves people well to probably have children older in life rather than younger. I can see the benefits of both, but I think that at least you have the maturity level, and you know you've already been through a lot of heartache, and you can put yourself better in a person's shoes when you're a lot older than you can when you're young. Because you simply just don't give a shit. You know, when I was young, I did not give a shit what someone else was going through. You know, until you go through all your own tragedies in life and all that. And then you can say, man, I really feel for that person, you know. But especially with children, they're so programmable. And though I didn't have any natural born children, and I came into you guys' life, I mean, and again, this is no fault to your mother. She asked me literally when we got married if I wanted to have children. She was on board with it, and I said, "What are you, crazy?" You know, pretty much. I'm like, we have two. I don't have a problem with that. I never had that whole, you know, like, you know, your biological clock is ticking bullshit or something like that. I never wanted kids.
I think that's a direct quote from my cousin Vinny.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's women. Women have a biological.
No, I think that, but guys want to spread their seed too and get their kids out there. I mean, that's evolution, I would assume. And, you know, Everett had a kid. Joe had kids. Justin.
I'm not convinced about that though, because I don't feel like I don't want. Right now, it's not something that I'm like, oh no, I'm almost 30. I gotta have kids. No, I don't. I don't care.
That you will be, if you choose to become a dad. I think you're gonna be an amazing dad.
Thank you.
And I think you're gonna be. And I'm not trying to.
That has a lot to do with you and my dad, though.
Right, but you're smart enough to see the mistakes that we created, and that the things that we did.
I don't think you created them. I think you accidentally.
No, well, yeah. I think that you've seen the fallout.
That's why they're called mistakes. You weren't like fucking doing it on purpose.
But I was. You know, it just so happened that I fell in love with a woman, and then I fell in love with you guys, and we were off to the races. And you know,
that's love, man. That's how it happens.
I didn't need another young Daniel running around to feel complete or something like that. Let's go buy a dog, and that's what we did. I'm content. I'm not, you know. Justin didn't have children. Teddy did the same thing I did. Pretty much married a woman with children, and I, you know, now at my age, I would never entertain. I wouldn't even entertain a dog living with a child. I just can't see. As you know, I'm a standoffish guy, and I don't intentionally try to be. I try to be a good uncle. I try to be a good, you know, and again, we all fail at those things. I try to be present, and that's half the battle with little ones. But then it's weird because at a certain age I get very uncomfortable around kids, and I don't know why. Once I get to a certain age, of that kind of like bratty, like teenage, I'll go, you know. Once they lose interest with me, I would say I would just lose interest with them. I don't know that. I hope that doesn't happen with anybody else in my life. I love my nephews dearly, They're the only two nephews I got, and I want to be there as an uncle for them. I think I'm a better uncle than again, coming from my perspective at my age now, you're raised. Right. I know what not to do. You know not what to do. You know what I mean? What you know all the bad things. Just shy away from. You know how we handle discipline and how you would critique that. But you actually, you're old enough now. I would say that you're a lot more mature than I was. You're 28, turning 9. I wasn't as mature as you at that age. As you know, I still had my head up my ass and freaking, doing drugs and, drinking and partying and doing all those things. And it is what it is, I didn't know that this was going to happen to me. And you don't think about kids when you get into a relationship with a woman that has children, and your mother was the first for me. I never dated a woman ever before with a child. And for a while there, I didn't even know your mother had children. Until someone came out and said, hey, she's got 2 kids. But the damage was done. Your mother, I fell for your mother freaking hard, and I didn't say anything for a while. But again, that's me being reserved. I'm not a. Here I am talking on a freaking YouTube freaking thing. So, no, that's how it worked out. It was, and then I think you guys are gonna do well. Better than I did, and better than your dad did. You guys know.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If that's the case, but I mean, I'm so focused on. I would like to be a success myself before anything else. I can't be a successful human being or a successful role model or mentor or father, if that's the case, if I'm not successful in my own way. I have to be. There's no way I could possibly teach anybody something before I actually do something myself, if that makes sense.
I think the way I was raised compared to the way you were raised and compared to the way your mother was raised. Okay, I came from a very traditional household, traditional family.
And we did not.
Right, you did not.
We came from a very non-traditional...
Right. And it was always a struggle, as you know.
My family's nuts.
Well, no. Again...
they're great people, but we're
love
nuts.
All of them. But I was just, one thing I never gave your mother credit for. She wanted to kind of like start our own traditions, and I was so young, dumb, just and again I don't want this to be a freaking laugh fest. That's not what I'm trying to do.
But you had your own family traditions that you were sticking to yourself.
Yeah, they weren't broke. I thought that would have been good for our family. I was wrong. It is what it is.
I mean, you were right and wrong, because it's like there's some stuff that I still carry with me to like this day. I took certain things that you taught me about your family, and I was like, oh, I didn't know families did that. And there's a loyalty aspect of things that there was a lot of talk in my family. Whereas there's a lot of talk in everybody's family, but there's a lot of action in a family that's like they stay together and they don't give a shit what you're going through or this or that, the other thing. They're gonna show up.
Well, yeah, my family
ain't like that. My mother's like that. My father was like that.
My blood kin were very, very tight.
Yeah. We have one of those families where, see, you care about what your whole family's gonna think about when they see this. I don't give a fuck. Think whatever you want. No, I care about what that's the fucked up thing. I care about what your family thinks.
Well,
I don't care what my family thinks, because they ain't gonna watch it.
Just because me and your mother went through a divorce doesn't mean that my family's still not your family.
you're misunderstanding. See, this is how tight you are and stuff with your family. I literally am just like, if one of my family members, if I ain't gonna say names, but if somebody sees this and they don't like it, tough shit.
No,
Turn it off.
That. I think that our family is the family in a whole. I'm talking everybody's family here. We have to, reserve our judgment and just kind of let people do it.
You probably reeled me in from some shit I was gonna regret, so I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, my family's very different.
Absolutely, and I had to get to know that. And maybe, as you know,
but my father and my mother's families were not together. They were very broken. They were broken apart. Yeah. None of us. My family's a product of divorce after divorce after divorce after divorce.
But make no mistake, there are families that are together but they're still just as broke.
Absolutely.
And broken families do stay together. And I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm that's not for me to say.
Probably a bit of both. It's a very hard dynamic to understand.
I know that children need a mother and father. I feel.
I think so too.
In a conventional family, I know everything's different today. I'm talking about as I was growing up. I had a considerable.
Everything's
advantage.
different today, society wise, but it doesn't mean that everything is different. Psychologically, I think that my life would have been 100% different if my father was in the house.
I had a considerable advantage over my friends that didn't have a father in the home. Now, with exception being Everett. Rocky was there all the time, though. Even though it wasn't, I'm not going to get into any of that kind of stuff, but Everett's father was very present, and you can see that in the way he has raised his children.
Yeah.
My brother in the way he has raised his, and vice versa. But I have never been present in you and Jesse's life compared to, again, I didn't know how to be. I had an instant family. I had instant kids, instant wife. Think of where I was, and again, I don't want to cover a big section of time there, but what I'm saying is, how do you go from doing what I was doing and where I was to Wango Tango? You got a wife and kids.
Mm-hmm.
Things changed for me rapidly. So maybe my physical location changed, but mentally I was still way. I was inept at dealing with a lot of that stuff, and your mother's maturity actually helped me through that. It was just like, hey, you're a dad now, you're a husband now, type of thing.
But I think that has a lot to do with what she went through,
Right.
She went through hell with her family, and she went through all types of different, like her. I won't get into her life because that's her business. But at the end of the day, if she wants to talk about it, she can talk about it. But
I think we did the best we could.
She went through the things that she went through with her family, and then she tried to have a family. And not to say it's her fault, my dad's fault, whatever, but that didn't work out. And I think she was heartbroken because she wanted more from that, from that angle. She wanted, she wanted the whole dynamic that your family has. She wanted to make that, and she wanted to create that, and that was not happening for her and my father.
Well, again,
But they were very young when they met. My father was 19 when he met my mother, and my mother was 15.
Oh, I know.
And they were together for so long, and my mother was 21 when she was pregnant with us. So it's like, when I was 21, I was a fucking idiot. So I'm not saying she was very much older than me as far as maturity goes when she was 21, but in like that, by all accounts, she was an adult at that age. She was very, very mature, but at the end of the day, you're 21, man. You don't know shit. As far as the world goes, you don't get it yet. You're honestly, 21 years old. You don't get it yet.
I didn't know shit until my 40s, man. Honestly, I called me a late bloomer. Again, I've been so standoffish.
I'm still an idiot. I'm 28.
I've always been kind of like the freaking, especially when growing up with my friends, a lot of ball busting. And, like, I've always been the one that was, Dan ain't gonna, Dan's not the brightest bulb on the, the light bulb tree or whatever you call it, I've always been that way. And that's, I'm a little...
First of all, the light bulb tree.
The light bulb tree.
Good job. Good job. But...
But again...
Second of all, it was... The way it was explained to me is that if you want to see somebody do something stupid, just dare Dan to do it. Yeah. And that's how you were when you was a kid. Like, if you want to see somebody fall, just tell Dan he wouldn't do it, and Dan would do it.
Right. So again, being a small stature male, growing up in a very rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
Growing up with the friends I did, and how we grew up, and
I hope to get Justin on here someday with you, because oh my
he's
god.
gonna bust my balls. Everett too. And
Absolutely Everett too.
Those guys, Teddy and Joe.
Yeah, Teddy.
They're my brothers, and I love them dearly. And I am incredibly blessed. And Dan, Donnie, and Chris, but the core guys, Joe, Ted, Everett, and Justin, and it's really, there was years that Teddy had to go away, and it was, and there was years that, again, it all just kind of blends in on how it was, but really close with those guys, and just had so much adventures and fun, and it was, they were just good guys in a shitty neighborhood, and we still had a good time, and a lot of friends are gone now, and I don't want to get into that life. But growing up in a city like that, when the crack epidemic hit, and all of a sudden zombies walking the streets, and I was always used to having pimps as neighbors, and whores on the street, on sitting on my porch, that's
Yep.
That's just the way it was, and again.
But we grew up in the crazy thing is, like, we just moved from a place that, like... Before my father died, we were living on Court Street. And it's like, I used to daily have hookers walking up to me asking for a cigarette, or, you know what I mean? Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? No, get away from me. You know what I mean? Like, we used to... I'm not proud of it. It's funny, but I'm not proud of it. We used to make fun of people walking down the street and shit. They ask you for a cigarette, and you come up with the funniest shit you can say because you're having a couple beers with your buddies on the porch. Yeah. Whatever, you know what I mean? It's like...
No, I mean, for me...
But that's the environment. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. Some people ain't gonna get it, but there's an environment that comes along with that city that is just... It's so wild... that your mind is blown sometimes. Where some people come up to you, or you'll have people, literally like people trying to sell something, leaning on your car or something like that. You gotta go outside and get the fuck off of my car. What do you think you're doing over here? And it's like, because they will literally try to run your house.
I think that Brockton is no different than any other.
No.
And it's definitely not the worst, nothing like that.
Nope. But it's a wild environment to grow up in.
Very wild, very difficult, and very dangerous. It was a lot of fight. And a lot of I used to be petrified at 2 a.m.
I know that. Me too.
I'm getting my ass jumped. I'm gonna get and it's happened.
Yeah.
So it's like So but again.
But people that don't come from that environment don't realize that this place that's 15 minutes from side to side in a car.
Yeah.
You're walking from whatever 2nd Street to South Junior High or something like that, over near Keith Ave and all that stuff. You're like, when you're walking just that far, it's maybe a 20-minute walk. And it feels like fucking 3 hours. It feels like an eternity.
Right. But if you're, same thing, like if you're in Dorchester or friggin', Mattapan or Roxbury, West Roxbury.
Blue Hill.
You don't go down certain neighborhoods.
Right.
That we lived in one of those neighborhoods.
Yeah. But I think Boston seems like I don't know because I didn't live there. I visited there, and I knew people that lived there, and I knew people that grew up there. But I visited certain areas and stuff like that. That some of them areas scared the shit out of me, man. When I was young, 'cause I didn't know what I was getting into. Going to Blue Hill Ave for like the Caribbean festival and stuff like that. Dude, I didn't realize what I was walking into when you park down the street, you walk up the street, and you got people literally like, "What are you doing here?" And you're like, "Oh, I didn't know there were rules like that." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
look at, I barely graduated high school. I did not like school. I did not do well. I
didn't make it to high school, so I relate.
Um,
A lot of people are going to be able to tell that right away.
I got educated or education years later. Again, maybe it was just again, my mind was always somewhere else. It was always in the clouds. It wasn't in school. I had a tremendous imagination young. I still do. I'm always got as you know, I got a million things that happen through my head at once, and I'm, I got all these bizarre theories and weird stuff going on that I actually devote way too much time and energy and mental strength to, but it's just there, and I just, that's how my kooky brain ticks, and living alone really helps me with kind of just, I get to kind of indulge in all of this, 5,000 different subjects. It actually calms me down because I'm a tinkerer, and I don't get to tinker because, I don't have a garage anymore, so it's like, man, so I use other methods or whatever, I got the guitar, I'm reading books, I got, the finance thing going on, I got all these other things and theories and stuff with you, and for me, I have to have all this kind of stuff going on, and it fits into my weird schedule. I don't know where I'm going with all this, but it just kind of all fits into my weird way I kind of go about my life. And again, I'm not gonna sit here and blab about yada yada yada. I'm not that interesting of a person,
I disagree. I could sit here and talk to you for hours.
But there's also things I won't go to certain areas, especially publicly like this, about a lot of stuff, I think that
we'll see what the future
that
holds.
distance is very important. And we've talked about that before we went into this podcast thing. But there's a lot of years that I just kind of, I was repetitive. It's work mode. We're married now. We got married in 2006. And I immediately just went right into freaking, 1950s freaking Ozzie and Harriet. Honey, I'm home. I'm going to work the next day. Walk in and where's my drink? And here's my scotch. Here's my dinner. I'm gonna do it again tomorrow, and yada yada yada. And I hate to use the yada yada yada, but everybody knows that. And then you try to grow as a family. You get good years, you get bad years. Everybody's individually struggling with this or that. Being naive that you got it all figured out when you really don't. Always, one step or two steps near to disaster. And the stress is always there. You just kind of ignore it. And literally everything is just hanging on by a thread. And it would go years like that, meaning financially or for, you freaking, moving out, or the thing with Jess, or, the million other things that you go through with children.
Yeah.
And you have good years and bad years. But also you have to understand that, adults have good years and bad years. And I think pretty much all of us have had pretty much a couple of bad years, Look what has transpired in the past 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
COVID.
Yeah, no shit.
Divorce, death. I mean, it's been a couple heavy few years
for
everybody. Not again, this ain't a freaking waft fest.
No, but it's been, no, you ain't lying. It's been heavy as shit.
It's been a heavy few years for everyone.
Yeah.
And not just me. And I don't want to discount those people that are struggling. So, but I self-admittedly, it's been tough. Physically, mentally.
Yeah.
Living in different areas, rebuilding your life, getting on top of things, feeling comfortable enough to talk about it. That's a big step, believe it or not, You wouldn't be able to get me to do something like this a couple years ago. Not a chance, And look at for all these people that don't know, it was about an hour and a half of setup here and freaking me trying to bail out at any second. So,
and a first go that didn't go so well.
Again, this is very uncomfortable and it's very foreign. I don't get it.
It's still foreign to me. I'm still.
My hat's off to Peterson and all these guys. And again, I think this is trendy. I'm saying it. I think this is a trendy thing, but I'm here to help. And again, I hope our family sees this. That'd be nice.
I think that anybody who does see it will appreciate the openness and the...
Well, I'm not being that open.
But I think that...
It's difficult for me to be open, regardless. And that's just me, as you know.
And I just want you to know that this is not going to be the last one. I'm going to force you on many of these.
But I think even, like we were just talking about your upbringing, I think if I was more of an open person as you were growing, and your brother was growing, and that we were growing in our marriage, if I was a more open person and shared more, I think that could have been a benefit to our family. I really do, and I'm working on that as a human being. It's not easy, man. Again, going back to the tough years, and it's hard to change an old dog. Who wants to change? It's easy not to change. It's just easy to sit. Why do I have to change? I have nothing to change for. Everything in particular before we say that, because I do want to change, but what I'm saying is that someone who's at the bottom.
There's comfort in consistency.
Right, there's comfort in just wallowing.
Yeah.
There's comfort in despair in a strange way. I know that it's and that's why a lot of people have a hard time getting past stuff, or they just get stuck, And I think I was stuck for a while, and I'm out of that. Again, I'm still not going to be freaking, getting down on freaking knees and lighting candles and confessing shit, because that ain't happening, Jack. Whatever, but I'm all up for, if this could be helpful to you and your brother and filling
I
some
think
of the
this
holes
could be helpful to a lot of people. It's not just
right.
me.
I think for me, the reasons why I'm doing this is to kind of, if this could be helpful to you and your brother after the tragedies that we all have suffered in this past few years, and also be a help to your mother in any way of healing with all yours, and your grandmother and all our families, with everything that happened. I think if any good comes out of it, that's what I hope comes out of it. Even if 2 people watch this thing, and I'm content with that. You're probably gonna make freaking more hits and likes if you just sit there and light a fire on fire.
I doubt that. I highly doubt that. I would probably
watch it. You'd probably get a million hits.
You're a weird guy, though, and I think that's a real niche audience.
I think that embracing your weirdness, I'm a quirky guy. A lot of people think I'm a quirky guy. And I am a quirky guy, and I love that. I'm starting to love that about myself. I was always kind of ashamed of it. I am. Excuse me. I find really weird stuff funny. I'm usually in my own world. As you guys know, I laugh by myself all the time because I'm in my own little thing. My neighbors must think I'm a freaking lunatic.
Yeah, that was day one though. They didn't. It didn't take hearing you laugh at yourself.
What is your question?
Oh, I had a question. We were talking about your weirdness and your quirkiness and how you're over the...
Well, I think we should take it to a more positive thing, my weirdness and quirkiness is...
We're on almost... I think we're at an hour and a half.
Alright. So what is the goal?
I don't know. Whatever you want. I mean, if you want to end it soon and...
Well, I always... If we're going to end it, and that's completely fine with me, I just just want to make sure that we end it on a positive note.
Sure.
Because, you know, we started getting freaking dark.
There will be many more. So, or maybe this will be the the last one. Ended on a good note. No.
No, I mean, again, I appreciate you asking me. Really
well, I appreciate you doing it.
As you know, it's very awkward to me.
It's very awkward to me, too. This is the first one. I'm still not used to this at all.
Framed out, you know, and definitely
I'm not good at framing out. I'm good at, fuck it. Let's do this. Like, that's my entire mentality is just...
And you're going to put my living room back together.
Nobody would have known it was a pot.
Oh, yeah, we hired this set.
This is a studio.
Studio 54.
Now people know where you live. Be paranoid.
Good luck. But anyway, after all this, in the years, and in your, you know, with all your uphill challenges, and your brothers and your mothers and mine.
Oh, don't let people know that. I'm rich and successful and...
A bullshit artist.
A bullshit artist. Don't say that. No, but go ahead. And he's dying.
I got the corona probably. I woke up with this. Edit that. After all this, everybody's starting to pull through. You know, we're finally starting to see. Yeah, granted, the economy and the world politics ain't the best, but we as individuals are starting to heal from the past few years, and I believe in onwards and upwards at all points, as you know. Never give up hope, never give up trying, and learn from the past and continue moving forward. Pick a direction and go. And it might be the wrong one for a little bit, and you gotta learn how to quickly change course and correct it, and capitalize on yourself, because at the end of the day, that's all you got, is your own gut, your own self to think about, because everybody is really on their own path. I have learned that.
And it's important to figure out how to be yourself, how to be an individual, and how to walk that path the right way.
I don't think that one can learn to be themselves until they have spent considerable time alone with themselves. I am very fortunate.
Union concept.
I really got fortunate from a very unfortunate thing. That, you know, getting my own apartment after the divorce and all that.
I don't know if that's a Jungian concept. I might sound like an absolute idiot. But I'm cutting you off. Go ahead.
I don't know who came up with it, but you have
the Stoics.
I do like a lot of Stoic stuff. But again, your mother and a lot of other people. I'm a very Stoic person. Regardless of it, you know, I think it's more of a natural
stoicism.
It's just like, what are you gonna do, type of thing. I mean, maybe I'm totally wrong, but again, at least I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to move forward. I want to continue on, you know, and what's next in my life. I don't know. I don't have a clue. I'm excited about it, whatever it is, you know. I really want to get out there and start, you know, discussing some of the goals that I have, you know, completing some of the goals that I do have in front of me that we've discussed, because I've completed a lot already, and I'm very proud of that. Always remember to be proud of yourself. Don't look for recognition from anybody else. You're going to have to do it yourself. Pat your own damn
But you've got to do the things that make you proud. You can't just be proud of yourself because you're a shithead.
Right, but don't
be proud of yourself because you made yourself better than you were yesterday.
But do not. Little things are just as important to be proud of when you're struggling. When you're way down low, there is a Bible verse, and you know, I can't think of it fully, but I know, and I can remember something to it. But count it all joy, my brother, and that means you're suffering and all that, and it has a bigger. And again, I'm not trying to quote the Bible here or nothing like that, but count it all joy. I think it's James. Knowing that there's if you take the God route, there's something else going on. You're going through this struggle for a reason. But if you're not taking the God route, you can still learn and benefit from struggles in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. Nobody wants to go through bad times, but it is necessary for one's maturity and wisdom to go through these times. You know, nobody wants to get a booster shot because it hurts. But you should probably do it for, polio or something. You got to go through that pain, or you're never going to grow. And I think that through the unfortunate situation that we were in, I shouldn't say just me. It matures you. Once you get over the initial, I got to put up all my gods and freaking, burn the village behind you. You go. There is that real thing of like, man, you're gonna go through a range of emotions with all different kinds of tragedies, and I'm only speaking about the ones that happened to me. You do go through, a whole bunch of weird emotions and yada yada yada. But you come out on the other side of it, and you get the hindsight thing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
I should have acted this way. But when you're in the game, you can't see all the players sometimes. It's just so much, and we get caught up in everyday life, and you get caught up in thinking that you're doing the right thing.
Sometimes hoping that you're doing the right thing.
Right. And that's...
But you sometimes don't know what you're doing while you're... You don't know the ripple effects that are going to happen from the actions that you have right now, thinking that it's the right thing to do.
Right, I'm not even sure about this podcast. What is this going to look like?
Who knows? I'm not either. It's not like I have a...
Right, so there's a reaction, There's consequences to everything. And
hopefully these are positive.
I think what happens, especially with people today, is they don't think enough before the consequences. Really think about it. Of like, oh, your reaction can get your ass killed too. So you got to be careful with that because, you're driving down the road in the city and freaking some guy cuts you off, and your immediate reaction is to roll down your window and call him an asshole and freaking flip him off, and all of a sudden he's shooting at you. So that quick momentary lapse of reason and that fast action is not always the best route, and the more that you can bring in hot-temperedness, fast reaction, the more it's going to benefit you. Again, another Bible quote, I think it's a Bible quote, but be slow to anger. That is like really true. Be slow to anger,
There are repercussions to anger.
Yes. And there's a lot more going on than we actually know about. You know what I mean?
Every action has a reaction.
Right. And I think that look, a lot of people went to jail on a freaking rash, quick decision.
Yeah.
A lot of people have gotten hurt and killed over the years of a rash, quick decision.
And there are a lot of people that will go right back to jail because you made a rash decision.
Right. So you got to think about those consequences, and somewhat there's gonna be like a microsecond where you just got to stow all your emotions away. Deal with the situation at hand. Make the decision. Be angry later.
Right. Don't make your decisions on emotion.
Right.
Make your decisions
Especially
based
if
upon...
they're life-threatening.
Right.
I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that would maybe disagree. I don't know, but in my case...
In an everyday situation...
I've always got myself more in trouble when I led with anger.
Working on emotion.
You know what I mean? Of just, alright, slow down, cool down, figure it out, work the problem, and you know, I can tell you right now, I still, like any human being, get flustered and upset and freaking agitated, and I get quick, you know, I have a sharp tongue sometimes, as you know, and I have learned to tame that. I'd say I've tamed that down quite damn well.
A lot. Since you were my age, woo, a lot.
You know, and again, that's ego, naive, you know, being naive, ego-driven.
It's also the environment. It's like you were in an environment that was just through the roof. You know what I mean? There's certain times where
false bravado.
It's some real bravado. I mean, it's not all false.
Yeah, no, but again, what I'm saying is that hindsight is 20/20. When you now that you know, I'm this age, looking back at being your age, it's just like I get to see the whole map, the whole picture. And it's like, oh, I was.
But you say I'm smart, or I make better decisions or whatever compared to you at my age. But that's because I saw how like different it was when I didn't really get to see. I got to see my father was 26 when my mother was pregnant. So by the time I was really looking at my father, like I remember my father in his early 30s.
Right.
I remember you when you like by the time my mother met you. My father was 4 years older than her, so it's like and you're 2 years younger than her. So when my mom was with you in a capacity where like we were going all out together, you were 29, I think, or maybe 30.
I don't know.
I don't even think you were 30 yet. I could be totally wrong about that, but
Let's put it this way.
I don't even know if you were 30 yet, and I'm looking at you at that age. You didn't have a you to look at that age. You had your father to look at that age. It's just like there's a different environment. There's a different example. I had an example of like lead by craziness. Like there was a certain level of like seriousness about you when you were my age, where it was like you had already seen certain things that maybe I saw them when I was young, but the capacity at which you were dealing with certain problems were way different than the way I deal with them now. Like we were talking last night about a story. I'm not going to get too far into it because we've already been going for a while, but it's like the way you were dealing with your problems back then was you were a volatile person. I won't say dangerous because I didn't see that.
So let's back up on something.
But you were quick to be rough. Not with me.
Right. No,
but with other men. And it was a certain thing where I learned. By the time you were in your mid-30s, you were like, oh no, you don't have to do none of that. It was like you learned your lessons like while you were raising us with my mom. You know what I mean? And my dad also. But it's
your
like,
mother was just like, listen,
you gotta chill the fuck out.
You want to be with me and these kids. All this crazy shit's gonna stop.
Right. But that's part of the lesson I was learning at the time.
You've already made the conscious decision at age 28 to stop drugs and drinking. I don't think I could have made that decision when I was 28. I don't think I was mature enough or smart enough to make that decision. Especially, again, that's what I'm talking about, maturity level, and that you know what not to do.
But I think my responsibilities have increased.
Well, I think since the passing of your father, you've definitely taken the middle role in your family.
Ooh. Thank you.
That's a good thing. And I'm proud.
I still don't see it that way. So thank you for saying that. But
I'm very proud of you doing that.
I think it's a big part of it is also jiu-jitsu because that has put this fucking like.
Well, you're around men.
That too, yes. But I was gonna say it's got this like First, like my
Hold on 1 second. You're around men mostly of character.
yeah, big time.
Difference. Okay. And
As opposed to where we both grew up, where it was like we're around men, but we think men are people that are going around beating other men up and doing this and doing that. It's like
well,
no.
I think that you took, and stealing it from Jordan Peterson. Be the guy that everybody looks to. Don't be the blood-ridden fool at the funeral. Be the guy that everybody can rely on.
That's a whole nother thing I could get into. I guess another
I'm
hour and a
looking
half
to
of
get-
conversation.
I'm not looking to get into that. I'm just saying. But I think that you did do a well job, and that was a good example of what he was saying there.
Thank you.
And
I'm really working on that. That's
Right.
But he is somebody that
listen,
that's something exactly like where I appreciate that a lot because that's something that I've been looking at often. Be I can't remember the damn quote, but it was like be the strong person at your father's funeral.
So we've always talked about this whole male rite of passage bullshit, and I think, well, I shouldn't say it's bullshit. I think it's a real thing, but I think it's coming a lot later in a lot of males' lives. And for me, thinking about this, you really didn't have that, and that was it for you. This was your real big transition into, and again, I'm not going to try to get all weird on this, but the patriarch of your family has passed on, and then it went to you. And though you may not have had all of the emotional or understanding how to deal with all of it, you did a pretty good job. And you had, granted, you had a lot of support. Your mother was invaluable for all.
And I had I'm still having a lot of struggle with it.
Yeah, I know, and it's going to continue for a while. And Jesse has to work through it. And I don't want to speak for Jesse on this, but he has done a hell of a lot of work on himself, and he's done a lot of accomplishments as well.
He's trying like hell, man. He's doing a good job.
Man, the toilet was flushed on all of us for a few years here, so it's no joke. But I'm proud of the resilience overall of the family to no matter what, no matter how many freaking times you and your brother would freaking go at it, or freaking you have these just all out blown on accidents, or the amount that fist fights, or with this person or that person, yada yada yada. Regardless of all that, and no matter how much that you and your mother and your brother have been at each other's throats, you still persevere as a family.
Yes, we love each other very much.
Right. So what I'm saying is,
we do have that family dynamic. It's just fucking nuts.
So it's really not about it's your blood, and you'll do anything for each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Very similar to what traditionally I went through. We acted out in a different, less milder way.
More mild.
More mild,
We're wild. You guys are mild.
my family does it very reserved.
Yeah.
We do it over lasagna.
Me and Jesse punch each other in the face, and the next day we're having a beer together and we're cool.
Right. You guys, we sit down with food. You guys.
We put the gloves on. Or
it's
maybe not.
After, I get it. The night of drinking, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Here you go. But, and I think that the family, moving forward, if everybody can get rid, and I'm speaking for myself here too, and everybody, if we can be less selfish and think about the family as a whole, long-term survival for the family, for the lineage, for the blood, for the kin, for the friendships, for the love. If you keep on doing what you're doing, you will never have anything to worry about. And you will always have somebody in your corner. And that is really what family's about. Even if you cannot stand the sight of that frickin' person, you'll lay down your life for them.
100%.
And that is invaluable to have. That is an invaluable tool, a safety net.
And that's loyalty.
Loyalty.
And love in itself.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't talk about love.
But that's where I feel like my father used to say, you don't understand what I'm talking about when I say I would fucking jump in front of a bus for you and your brother.
Right.
And now I get it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, or he would say jump in front of a bullet, jump in front of a bus, whatever the case. It'd be a lot harder to jump in front of a bullet. But
again, to do it in such a way.
He's saying and he's proved it. You've proved it. There's my mother's proved it. There's certain things where I have been in situations which have
and this is gonna be wild again because again I'm not a religious man anymore. Faith has been kind of rocked, but there is a verse that Christ actually spoke, and it has always stuck with me, with my family, and my friends. And it is something towards there is no love greater than this, to give one's life for a friend.
Yep.
So that really backs up everything that you learn with your friends and your family and fellow Marines or fellow anything. And that is what love is. I think it's many things. It's also giving the person the power to destroy you. That's definitely there, But to do it in such an unselfish way, for the benefit, for the lineage, I think it's an honorable thing. And I think that it's something that is being lost today, for sure.
A lot of selfishness in the world, man.
I mean, to me, it seems like just like a freaking warrior. I mean, it's very, again, not trying to. I know today, but it's a very masculine thing the way I take it. And I'm sure it's the same thing for a woman. There's no love greater than this for a woman to give her life for a friend. It's both.
But it's so much deeper. Like I truly believe my mother's fucking nuts. Like when it comes down to it, she'll jump in front of a train for me and my brother. Absolutely. And I'm like, I'm the kind of guy that's like, why would you do that? You're out of your goddamn mind. I would do that for you. Don't do that for me. My mother's the type of person that she's a hardcore person when it comes to love. When it comes, you know what I mean? But specifically for me and my brother.
Oh, I know.
That is a different type. Like my mom taught me what a mom is.
Mother and her cubs.
She's mama bear to the fullest. She'll lay down her life or take someone else's for me and my. She's a hardcore mom, man. She's the best mom in the world.
All right, I've had enough of this shit. Can we shut it off now? And do we have to end it a certain way?
That was a weird way to end it. I was gonna say I love you or something like that, and thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I had a great time. Thank you.
You said I have enough of this shit.
Thanks.
Well,
no.
You know what I mean? It's just my back's killing me. I've been sitting in this chair.
This is all gonna stay in.
What?
What you're saying right now.
I thought you can edit all this out.
I can, but you're making it real fucking hard to edit.
Okay, so how do we end this? Hey,
we'll definitely do this again.
Okay. I'm very happy.
We've both probably had enough conversation at this point. It's been quite a while, but
well, I know I appreciate it. I'm honored to help you.
I'm honored that you were willing to be the first guest on my podcast. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing another one.
Ooh, you got to tell your fans all that. Yeah, tune in tomorrow.
Well, it's not going to be like one after the other. I might do one and then have another one next week. Or.
No, I wish you the very best in blessings to your endeavor, and I'm very happy and proud to be a part of this, and I'm proud of you for doing it.
Thank you.
I hope that you have all the gifts that you want and you take it into whatever direction. And I love you.
I love you too. And no matter what you think, I think this was excellent. I think that whoever watches it, if it's 2 people, if it's 2 million people, if it's 2,000 people, if it's just me, this is going to be great.
Edit out some of the swears, my mother. Maybe bleep a few.
All right.
Especially the F-bombs.
All right. On that note, it's been good. Thank you.